CanPL.ca Newsroom on a Monday. Marty Thompson, Charlie O'Connor-Clarke, back with you now 2 episodes a week in the lead up to the CPL season. We have lots to talk about in the CPL, including something with our friends over at Volkswagen Canada that'll come later on in the show. But first, we have to talk about Canada. The men's national team, they're on the verge of something special. We've heard this all before.
That was
Charlie
hitting my desk.
With his classic, was that knocking on wood?
Yeah, it was. I was hitting my desk.
I'm prefacing all of this by saying it looks good. Canada 1-0 over Haiti in Port-au-Prince on Saturday night. Probably good value for more than one goal, one crucial away goal though, as they go to Chicago for the second leg. We're a couple days away from this, obviously, Charlie, but maybe give Canada a grade out of that game, because it was easy to get lost in the moment thinking, holy cow, they're only one win away from the octagon in the final round. But give us an idea now, a couple days removed.
Yeah, I think it's easier to grade them a few days after, because I think maybe immediately after the game, people might have been a little bit, not frustrated, but maybe a little bit surprised that it wasn't the kind of wide open, we're going to score a million goals sort of Canada that we saw in the World Cup qualifying group, including against Suriname. But I don't think it was ever going to be that this time. I mean, all 4 of Canada's group games were in the United States at very neutral venues. They're obviously much more difficult opponents, Haiti as well. They're going to grind you down. They're going to play very, very physical, which I'm sure we'll get to as well. And I think now that you kind of look at it and you think about it, you think that's probably exactly what Canada was hoping for. I mean, maybe they hope that one more of those chances goes in, maybe, Jonathan David's breakaway from like half. But in general, you come out with a clean sheet from Haiti. You pick up the away goal. Very difficult conditions. I think John Herdman was talking about how tough the pitch was to play on in maybe every answer he gave after the game. It sounded like it was really sticky and dry, and just the ball didn't really roll very well on it. And that obviously doesn't suit a team like Canada, who wants to move the ball quickly and they want to get forward. But I don't think you can really fault anything about the way Canada played. They dominated in midfield. They had their chances. It was a bit of a sluggish game, but you probably would have expected that. And they survived. I think really the best way to put it is they survived going down to Haiti. And they're going to have to obviously go to much more difficult places if they pull this out on Tuesday.
So yeah, Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Pacific on OneSoccer. We'll be watching it. We'll have lots in the lead up on CanPL.ca. Let's talk about that midfield that they played in Port-au-Prince. Marc-Anthony Kaye comes in. Steven Eustáquio, both players brilliant in the midfield, with Osorio just kind of in front of them. And you saw how crucial Osorio was to creating that goal that Larin scored. What did you make of that midfield going into a second leg game like this, where, maybe Canada will be a bit more comfortable. Maybe they'll want to be more aggressive like that, right? Because essentially the pick was to go away from Piet, a more defensive midfielder. But what did you make of that going into the second leg?
I was honestly really surprised by that specific change. I mean, I thought if Kaye was going to come in, it might be for Jonathan Osorio instead of Piet, especially against a team like Haiti, where you don't know how much you're going to be able to dominate the ball. And Piet's obviously the ball winner generally when he's on the pitch. But I don't think you can sit Marc-Anthony Kaye ever again.
No.
He's really good, and he's kind of the talisman there in midfield. He was able to get the ball up through the lines. I think that his role in Canada's goal was just amazing. Just the vision to spot the place where Osorio could run and to kind of direct him into that area with the through ball was amazing. And I mean, Canada obviously doesn't score without that. I think Kaye just brings something to the midfield that maybe some of the others don't. He's just a little bit more creative. He's got maybe better vision, probably better vision than Piet. And I don't know. I think that for me, the question might be between Kaye and Osorio, but I don't think Canada necessarily sees it that way. I think that they really like Osorio up in that number 10 role, and Kaye maybe going from box to box. but I also don't know what you do with Piet, because you're not dropping
Mhm.
Eustachio, that's for
No,
sure,
no.
because he was also phenomenal on Saturday. I think he has like 90% passing or something like that, uh, and you can't drop that. So it does make things a little difficult. We knew that this was going to be kind of a selection headache for John Herdman. There's 4 really good midfielders in this group. One day there might be 5 when Atiba Hutchinson comes back in. You can play 3 of them, I think, unless
Yeah.
because you don't really want to make a formation where you can play all 4 of them, because that obviously takes other great players off the pitch. But, maybe Sam Piet is going to turn into the guy that you bring into a game where you're trying to protect a lead or get the ball back or something like that. It's a situational thing.
Well, yeah, exactly. And the flexibility to do that, like the flexibility to be able to bring in like a Piet, and then the way that the midfield moved against Haiti was much different. We got to talk about Alphonso Davies getting kicked constantly.
Yeah.
Just over and over again. I just have it written down in the notes. They won't stop hurting Alphonso. Please stop. That's what I've written down. I mean, how much do you read into this? Because this is obviously an easy thing for people to talk about on social media, like, players just going into him constantly. But like, how much do you really take stock in like bubble wrapping Alphonso Davies in CONCACAF?
I think that he comes into these games knowing that that's what's going to happen. And if you ask him, or if you ask John Herdman, he's a tough guy. I think for the
we
most,
can tell from the way he was getting kicked.
Yeah,
the way he was getting kicked, it was like, man, like I would be fuming.
I'm sure Bayern Munich is sitting watching those games, just terrified out of their minds, and they may not be too pleased about seeing that. But no, Davies, he definitely wasn't shying away from contact. Right, he was running right at guys. He was dishing it out a little bit himself sometimes. And we've seen him do that in the past, right? Even in the Bundesliga or back in MLS, he can make those tackles as well, and he can be a physical player. So I think it's definitely tougher for him, because he won't be able to maybe just run all the way up the touchline like he could against Suriname, because Haiti was like double, triple marking him at some points of that game, just to really, really cut him down and hit him in the shins as much as possible. But I don't think that it's really a concern. It's obviously a concern that he's not as involved as you want him to be, but in terms of how he's dealing with the physicality, I think he's fine. I think he can do it, and I think he kind of embraces it.
And not to get too pulled away from the fact that Canada's 1 win away from making the final stage of World Cup qualifying for the first time since the 1998 cycle. Like, something that maybe, Charlie, I'm not sure if you agree with this, but just from reading, the quotes from players out of some of these press releases or press conferences, like, John Herdman on the call with media on the bus on the way out of Haiti, there seems to be, and I don't want to jinx this, I know people are, worried about that, but like, there seems to be a level of confidence in this team going into this game.
Yeah.
Oh,
a huge one.
And it like, maybe, does that seem strange to you in that it's maybe just something something you just wouldn't necessarily expect previously?
Yeah, I don't know whether or not yet we can say that it's earned confidence, because I think this team is still continuously being tested and still, proving itself. But I think it's a good thing for them to go into this looking at the talent they have on paper, and basically they would say that, if they win this 2-legged tie, they're not going to say that it's that big an accomplishment, because this team's very specific goal and obvious goal is to get to the World Cup. And I'm sure once they hopefully get into that octagon, then maybe we'll see them react a little bit differently. I genuinely don't even want to speculate on how that could go yet, because it's very scary to me. But yeah, I think this team does have a lot of confidence, and I think that that's probably a good thing for when they play against these tough teams, because in the past we've seen Canada play a little nervous or a little scared against some CONCACAF teams that they should probably beat, and it's kind of hurt them in the past. So I definitely think that this is a good thing.
Canada, Haiti from Chicago, Illinois, 9 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Pacific on OneSoccer. Again, Tuesday night, tune in. This is going to be a big one. This is going to be a big one. Quickly, before we get into some CPL news, we're just recording this after the Canadian women's national team drew 0-0 with Brazil. That's now 2 stalemates back to back. Obviously, the Czech Republic, we talked about that last time. I mean, what kind of takeaways can you give us other than the fact they didn't score a goal, Charlie?
Yeah, it's better to draw 0-0 with Brazil than with the Czech Republic, I think.
That's true. That's true.
I think the last 3 games Canada's played against Brazil, they lost 4-0. They drew 2-2. Right? So a clean sheet is a huge improvement. The backline looked great. As much as Canada didn't threaten them going forward, Brazil didn't really threaten Canada. So maybe that's the silver lining. But again, I think maybe the biggest concern with this team at the moment is the attack, and it doesn't really seem to have a lot of its identity figured out just yet under Bev Priestman, which, takes time. But hopefully that can come soon because they're going to need it in Tokyo.
Yes, and it just came out this week that Priestman's looking at maybe trying to get one more game. Is that right? Or maybe one more camp in before Tokyo, with the squad getting picked here in the next 10 days. Okay, now let's switch to some CPL news. This is exciting for us. Volkswagen Canada coming in to sponsor a segment for us and help prep you, frankly, for the CPL season coming up with the kickoff in Winnipeg. It's Return to the Stage, presented by Volkswagen Canada. We're going to talk about each team, talk about their preseasons, what they look like, what the prep's like going into Winnipeg as teams are going to start to arrive as early as Wednesday. We're going to start west to east because we've got Marco Bustos on, as you saw in the podcast description. We're also going to talk about Cavalry FC, starting out west. This is a team that, Charlie, I know you've said on this podcast that you were worried about them. You've changed your tune since, naturally, as the signings have started to come in. You talked to Tommy Wheeldon Jr. This week, not to put you on the spot too much. You talked to Tommy Wheeldon Jr., coach of Cavalry this week, or last week rather. Give us a bit of a rundown of what's going on in Calgary and what we can expect from them, because they've definitely got at least a couple more signings, right?
Yeah, I think so. I asked Tommy, and he said that they've got a few younger players in camp, as well as I think what he said was they've got an ace up their sleeve to reveal before they get to Winnipeg. I don't know what that could be. Yeah,
last year that was Marcus Haber.
Last year it was Marcus Haber, and it was a hell of an ace up their sleeve. Worked out pretty well, and it was also really cool. But I have no clue. I haven't, I don't think I've heard any kind of rumors or anything for Cavalry. So that's something to be excited about. But even without this this final card to play, they're a very interesting team, right? There's a lot of players from the last 2 years in the CPL that have moved on. Nathan Mavila is not there anymore. Jordan Brown, Elijah Adekubi is going to miss the season with injury, which is really unfortunate. But that's another, Dominic Zator, definitely need to mention him. A lot of players are moving on from this team, but also a lot of new guys are in here, and it's kind of exciting. This team's a lot younger. I think they're going to be a little bit faster when they play with the ball. There's so many new names in the defense. Dan Klump coming from the Netherlands, and Tom Field from Northern Ireland coming into this squad. I don't know really where we want to go with them.
Well,
there's just so much new.
Maybe the question is, do you think that this team is actually better than it was in 2020? You could make certain arguments about the players that have come in. We haven't even talked about Joe Mason. And you have an update on him. He's going to be coming maybe after the kickoff. Is that right?
Yeah, it sounds like his paperwork is just about sorted out, but he'll be joining the squad around midway through the event in Winnipeg. So, according to Tommy, so I don't know really when exactly that is, but it sounds like he'll be there for sure at some point.
But I mean, this is a team that we've seen teams, have to chop and change, and I don't think teams have necessarily chopped and changed the way Cavalry has, just because, there's obviously a mass exodus of some of their core players. But like, I'm willing to put my chips down that this is a better team than it was in 2020, just because of who they, like you mentioned Dan Klomp, like the back line has rebounded in such a way after losing Dominic Satora. Like, we haven't even talked about Anthony Novak, who might be consistently one of the best strikers in the CPL. And obviously Mason. I don't know. I just think that I just think that coming into Winnipeg, there may be a bit of a sleeper pick, just because I know obviously players and pundits don't want to make too many assumptions on a team, but like they've also had, and we're going to get into this when we get to the Ontario teams, because this is the whole narrative around them is, Cavalry's been able to train too, right? This is a team that's been able to train for the most part, with their whole group. So I feel like you hopefully iron out a bunch of those kinks, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we didn't even mention Joe DiChiara, who maybe has been one of the best midfielders in the entire CPL for 2 years. And, if York had gone to the Final Four last year, he might get MVP caliber talk. It's hard to call a team that's come first in every CPL regular season ever a sleeper pick, but they are very different. And I think on paper, I agree that they are better this year. And their ceiling is probably higher with some of these players that we maybe don't know so much about. I'd be a little bit interested to see how they play with this group and whether it's the same sort of, high pressing 90 minutes of hell football that Tommy Wheeldon Jr. loves so much. Because I know there's a lot of what kind of made them tick in the first year was it was a group of very specific players who were fairly familiar with each other, and they all really bought into that system. And this group may be more talented, but we haven't seen them play yet, so we don't know if they'll maintain that identity and whether that'll carry forward into a new year. So they're probably the team that I'm most interested to see play at the kickoff this year.
Okay, we're going to flip to Marco Bustos here and Pacific FC just shortly. We're also going to talk about his ad. We haven't even talked about it.
If you're watching
he's a movie star. If you're watching the Euros, make sure I think I've been guilty of this, just like tuning out at halftime for a bit, but make sure to watch the commercial breaks. You're going to catch a glimpse of Marco Bustos, who's our movie star guest coming right up. So we're joined by Marco Bustos of Pacific FC, movie star Marco, as we just introduced you there in the segment before. We were just talking. So you shot that for 10 hours, the Euro ad. So what, but you're only on screen for what, like 5 seconds?
3 seconds. Yeah, 3 to 5 seconds maybe. But I mean, like I was telling you guys, I didn't really know the script of what we were doing or what kind of was going on. I just knew I was going to be on an ad that was going to be Volkswagen and on TSN during the Euro. So I just said, hey, put my head down, and I said, let's go for it. That's good exposure, and whatever it takes, let's do it. But I know there's no way I would ever become a movie star. No chance.
Did you get like direction, or was it just kind of, show up and look cool, put your jersey on?
Yeah, not not too much direction, just kind of free for all kind of thing, and pretty relaxed. We were obviously directed in what we were doing, but it was kind of got a bunch of different shots and see, I guess, what fit best in this commercial.
We knew we'd trip you up by playing yourself here.
What's that, sorry?
Oh, we knew we'd trip you up a little bit by playing videos of yourself while you're. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say there, right before that car at the end, right there. I wish I was another split second longer there.
For next time, whoever edited this,
yeah,
for next time. Yeah,
for next time.
Okay, well, I mean, this bleeds into this. Like, you're gonna have like friends and family watching this that wouldn't know you filmed that. Like, I mean, maybe the first question is what kind of reception will you just get from people that you knew? Like, would you just get tons of text messages?
Yeah, I got a ton of text messages, and obviously I didn't tell anyone I was doing this. Just obviously my family and whatnot, but a ton of text messages. I got a call from actually my uncle, who didn't know. He was just watching TSN, and it came up, and he called me and said, basically how proud he was of me and that it was nice to see his last name there and all that. But again, it was cool. Like I had a lot of people kind of screen recorded and send it to me through Instagram, Snapchat, that kind of stuff. But
It's gotta be
all
cool.
in all, it was a cool commercial for sure. And to
Yeah.
be played during the Euros when only here in Canada TSN is playing the game, so I guess a lot of people will be seeing my face.
Yeah, no kidding.
Is it
No
weird
kidding.
to just be like, if you like sit down and watch one of these games and then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, that's me.
The first few times. Now
Yeah,
it's
yeah, for sure.
now it's normal. But every time is obviously I stay a little bit longer just to see if it's gonna come on or not. But it seems to come on every game. So
We'll bring it back up to you again here. So which clip you wanted? No, I'm just kidding. You wanted this one to be a bit longer at the end. That's too bad.
yeah,
That's brutal.
the last one. No, that's okay.
Yeah, I think
that's okay.
great acting from Manny and Jamar here, by the way. I just like to point that out. They were stone cold. It was perfect. That's all you need.
They look.
So,
we were joking about that today. We were saying they look like mannequins.
yeah, wax figures. So let's talk about Pacific Camp briefly. You guys have been training for quite a while. Like, can you give us maybe a bit of insight into how things are? Like, obviously, compared to last year, you know, every player and every team we talk to, it's like this year just seems to be a lot more, you know, positive in many respects. But like, what can you tell us about how the team's been training so far?
Yeah, I think even when we started training, and that was a couple months, we knew that obviously we had to be prepared for this moment now. You know, that we're gonna play. You know, in the back of our heads, we knew, all right, we can't really. There's no time frame really of when we're gonna start, but we know we're gonna play. So it was important to every day just come in and do the work. You know, all the fitness work that we've been doing, all the tactical stuff, technical stuff. It all comes down to now, you know, when we need to start, when we need to get on the pitch and actually perform. This is why we practice. This is why we train. So I think it's a great group. You know, we've added a few pieces that make us a lot stronger for sure. And but I think a key thing was that bringing in. I think a key thing that Pod did was bring in a lot of the same guys. You know, getting that chemistry, building the group. I think that was important too, and just building off of last year. You know, we had a good season. I felt like we had a lot of positives. Obviously, some negatives to grow on, but I felt, you know, first time together, I think it was, and not knowing what PI was going to bring, I think it was a positive 10 games for sure. You know, we always went in there saying we wanted to make the top 4, and we did. And obviously, we fell a bit shy of a championship game. But now with that experience, I think, and the training that we've been doing, you know, we're all in the same mentality. We all want to win. We all want to be champions, and it takes more than just to talk about it. You know, it's about the actions, and what I see from these guys day in, day out, they really do believe in it.
We don't want to give too much away, but who's looking really good in camp right now? You know, is there anybody that we should, you know, be looking out for when you guys hit the pitch that maybe we're not thinking of, other than yourself, of course?
We're not going to play we're not going to play the commercial anymore. We're not going to blow your ego up too much.
No, for me, it's we're a team of a lot of quality, and everyone has their place. Everyone has their job, their role that they need to do, and I think on any given day, anyone can show up and do the job, and that's what to me is important, and that's what to the coaching staff I would imagine is important too, and to other players. You know, if we want to be a champion, we need to play together like champions. And for me, it's, if you're playing against us, you know, I want it to be the 11 guys on the field that you know, the other team is, oh wow, I don't want to play against this guy, but not just me, but everyone else around us too. You know, I think we need to be dominant in the 11 guys we have and the 5 subs that come off the bench to come in and make an impact.
Every CPL season, there's, you know, a new batch of people that come to the league, and, you know, Pamadou Ka from the Island Games was was one of those people that, you know, fans gravitated to. And now you're going into your second season under him. And, you know, we hear loads of obviously all great positive stories to be around him and to be coached by him. What can you maybe say about the mentality of this group now going into a second season with someone like Ka at the helm?
Yeah, it's great. You know, obviously I feel more prepared than ever right now. You know, obviously with last year we didn't know much of what was going on. We didn't know we were going to go to PEI until I think like a week and a half before. But just the preparation, him, James, Riley, Mark, what they do for the team is super professional.
Rigorous.
Rigorous.
I just saw you reaching for a word.
No, just super professional, and the standard, you know, Pa played at a really high level. The standard he brings every day with the training sessions, the demand that he has vocally of everyone is. I just feel like this year is we have obviously more experience in the sense of the players in the league, but like any other team too. But I just feel like we're more prepared. We knew we were more structured this year, I feel, in the sense of the training sessions and just knowing that, you know, we're getting ready for something big. We're starting hopefully for 28 games. It's going to take a whole group of guys, and I think they put together a really good team, really good players, and more importantly, like good human beings. Like I can tell this is the first team I've been in where everyone is really together. You know, we don't have that 2 or 3 guys that, you know, if they don't play, they ruin it for the rest of the group. You know, I feel like we're very much together, and that's going to be important, especially in the bubble. And we're going to need everyone. You know, it's 8 games in 4 weeks. It's tough, but hopefully we come out with good results, and everyone's looking forward to it for sure.
The last thing we haven't touched on is you're going back to Winnipeg, right? Obviously, unfortunately, didn't get to play there last year after you moved from Valor. You're from Winnipeg, so what are you telling guys about heading back there? I mean, you won't get to play in front of the Winnipeg fans, unfortunately, just yet. But I mean, are you excited to go back?
Yeah, of course. Guys asked me, you know, what's it like? I said, we're going to a bubble, so there's not much we can really do. I know it'll be hot for sure and humid, but it'll be for everyone. I'm just excited, you know. I'm excited to play, whether it's Winnipeg, Halifax, PEI again. To me, it doesn't matter. I just want to play. But for me, I'm familiar with the stadium. You know, I scored some goals there, and just the feeling of being back home. Obviously, I won't be able to have my friends and family there in the stands yet. Hopefully, after a few games in, but yeah, it's a good feeling. You know, going back to somewhere where you're familiar with is always nice for sure.
Places to eat in Winnipeg we could maybe order in from. What's your go-to local spot?
Are you guys going?
Marty
I'm going.
Yeah,
I'm looking for places to eat, man. I've heard Winnipeg food is great, but like, where do you start?
Man. Sorrento's Italian food, very good.
Where
Sorrento's
what
on
else?
Ellis. It's close to the stadium there, or to our hotel where we're staying.
And then what's? Oh yeah. Sorry, give us some more places to eat. I gotta write all these down.
Marty's just doing his own
let's
homework
see.
right now.
Stella's is a good place too. It's like modern, healthy kind of food. It's a nice place. There's lots. Like you go on Skip the Dishes, you'll be scrolling for hours, man.
Skip the Dishes being a local joint as well. Okay, what's one? Hey, I know that's based in Winnipeg. I know that. What's one excursion you would want to do if we could all leave the like? Let's say Pacific can go do one thing one day. What would you want to do?
Bring them all to my house. Bring them all to my house and have a big barbecue.
I love that. We'll have to see if that's allowed in the single site kickoff.
Probably
Who knows,
not.
man? It might
Probably
be.
not. Yeah, it might be.
Might
but
be.
if not, then probably go, like, if we could as a team go for a walk somewhere. I think taking them around Assiniboine Park area would be nice. It's a nice walk, you know, a lot of flowers, a lot of stuff to look at, I guess. And there's the zoo there, so that'd be pretty cool. But yeah,
Okay,
probably do something like that.
you got to be honest with me, Marco. We only got about another minute. Are the bugs bad?
Say it again, sorry.
Are the bugs bad?
Oh yeah, make sure you whenever you're outside, you put mosquito spray on, man.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was
All
actually
right.
telling my teammates that today. Every time we go train, we have to get a mosquito repellent. Especially when the
Amazing.
sun goes down, it's bad. Not too much in the stadium, but like where we'll be practicing and stuff, where it's more outdoorsy and creeks around, it gets pretty bad.
I think I would have preferred if you lied to me, Marco, but that's all right.
Hey,
That's all right. I'll
honesty
take
honesty
it.
is key, man. Honesty is the best.
Okay,
At least
Marco,
now you'll be
thanks much.
prepared.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bring tons and tons of bug spray. Okay, Marco,
I'll do
thanks so
that.
much for joining us, man. Really appreciate it.
No worries, man. Thank you. Nice to see you guys, and hopefully see you soon and chat soon.